'Twas a long time ago, longer now than it seems, in a place that perhaps you've seen in your dreams. For the story that you're about to be told took place in the holiday worlds of old. Now, you've probably wondered where holidays come from. If you haven't, I'd say it's time you begun. Hello everyone, welcome back to Witchtionery. Today I wanted to bring you the Kindred Stamps Holidays Are a Nightmare stamp set. Now this stamp set is obviously heavily influenced by The Nightmare Before Christmas, one of my favorite movies of all time, especially for Halloween. And I really wanted to get these two cards done and, thrown out there for you guys before I did the Hero Arts kit for this month. Because obviously the kit for this month is a Christmas holiday sort of kit, so I figured The Nightmare Before Christmas comes before Christmas, so let's do that. To start off my card making process, I wanted to make a little panel using a Sizzix circle die. I'm going to make my first card into a shaker card because I just don't think this playlist has enough shaker cards, so I wanted to just do that and kind of get it out the way. To start off after that, I really wanted to start inking down my little characters. Now, I started inking everything up with some intense black ink from SSS Stamp, and I came to find out that Jamie Madison was actually very, very correct about this ink. You kind of do need to go over it a few times in order to get like a dark impression. So off camera, I ended up redoing this again, but with my Memento Tuxedo Black Ink, which was totally fine because then I had double the characters to play around with, and I ended up with some stellar cards, at least in my opinion. I'm then going to start doing some Copic coloring. I'm going to list the color of this Copic marker and the supplies used. However, for most of my coloring, I did a blend between Copics and Tombow brush pens, just because I don't have a lot of Copic pens, but I do have a lot of greens, surprisingly. I don't know what it is about Copic markers and the color green, but I guess I just want to catch them all. Once I was done coloring everything and fussy cutting it, I came back to that panel. So I started inking up that little circle with my Mustard Seed Distress ink. I, again, really was inspired by the winter scene in The Nightmare Before Christmas at the end when it started snowing. I kind of wanted to elaborate on that little moment that Sally and Jack had on top of the Pumpkin Mountain, or the Pumpkin Hill Mountain. I think it's called Spider Mountain or something like that, I'm not sure. But I wanted to just expand on that moment and kind of make a card that was inspired by that. So after I was done coloring my moon with the Mustard Seed and the Mustard Seed Distress ink, I came back and I used some Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink, and now I'm coming back in with my chipped Sapphire Distress ink. I really want this to be nice and dark because this is still kind of a Halloween card, even if it is giving a little bit more of a holiday vibe. And honestly, I might have to bring out this kit again in the Christmas season just to make some Christmas cards from it, because I do think it lends itself for both Halloween and Christmas. Thank you, Tim Burton. My other inspiration behind this was also my friend Angie. She has been wanting to go see Jack and Sally for like years now, but she has gotten tickets only to go to Florida, and it kind of sucks for her because she just found out that Jack and Sally are only available, I guess, in the Disney parks in California. So I really wanted to send her a card that would remind her of her beloved Jack and Sally for Halloween while still not having her travel too far. I took out my Tombow brush pen to just draw on Spider Mountain, and now I'm just going to start flicking some water on top of my panel, which I probably shouldn't have done because the Tombow pens are not water resistant, so my card does smudge a little bit, but it's totally fine because Angie is okay with some human error in her cards. She thinks that they're totally charming. At least I think she does. This is my first time sending her cards, so Angie, if you're watching, I hope you like it. From my stash, I'm going to pull out my Finetec inks. These inks are fabulously opaque, and I use a lot of them for my calligraphy that you've probably seen on some of my envelopes on my Instagram page. This does show up a lot more than the metallic inks that I had before from Prima Marketing. So yeah, I think that this starts looking very much like a snowy scene at this point, and I was really pleased with it. From my stash, I also pulled out a piece of Hero Arts Acetate and, of course, our favorite Scotch foam tape. And I'm going to just layer this up on top of itself so I can get a good dimensional foam tape thing. just so I can have enough space for my shaker elements. So yeah, after I was done doing that, I took off all the backings because it's a little bit more malleable. I also have a friend named Pamela who really fell in love with this card, so I made her the same card, and I kind of really like this card a lot, so I might do it again for the holidays and send it to more of my friends. From my stash, I pulled out some of my Studio Katya sequins, and this is in the ice fusion shimmering pack, and then I just put my panel on the back of that and sealed it tight and played with my sequins for a bit, because I think we all do this when we make shaker cards. We just like shake it up a little bit for a bit just because they're so much fun. I then took Jack and Sally and I started playing around with the placement. I knew I wanted Zero in my image because he very much tags along with Jack a lot, and I figured he'd kind of probably be in the background if Jack and Sally are on a date, sort of like how our pups are sometimes on dates with us when we go on dates. So yeah, totally relatable, Jack, totally relatable. I couldn't figure out where I wanted to put Zero, but I ended up choosing that side. I then start looking at the images and I wanted to kind of decorate my interior. I do go back and decorate more of the interior, so I didn't want to show you guys too much. And then on a piece of ultramatte black cardstock, I took my Stampendous powder or embossing powder in silver, and I just heat embossed meant to be inside of it. From the exact same stamp set, I took out the sentiment that said, have a frightfully good holiday season, because again, I think that this card is very versatile for both Halloween and for Christmas. So yeah, I already had the little Santa on the side, and I figured he would be a good addition to the inside of the card. So for now, I'm going to put this aside, but like I said, I'm going to end up revisiting it. For my second card, I took out a piece of my Booze and Brews 12 by 12 paper, which I will have a link down below, and I really wanted to make an Oogie Boogie card. Obviously, if you've seen the movie, Oogie Boogie is a little character that has a ton of bugs inside of him. They're always creepy crawly staring at him when you go into his lair. So I really wanted to use this pattern paper for him. Unfortunately, I kind of didn't like the placement where I was going with it, because I do know that Oogie Boogie is a gambling man. So I took the opposite piece of my of the paper that had this beautiful purple on it, and I honestly probably should have stuck to the little circle, but I don't know what possessed me to, you know, just go for it at this time, so it is what it is. I also took out my Big Numbers Simon Says stamp set and some Unicorn Hero Arts ink and started just stamping down numbers onto this little panel, because again, Oogie Boogie is a gambling man, and if I had die, I would probably be stamping that on there as well. I tried to find a link for this stamp set on Simon Says Stamp, and I couldn't find it. I even followed Amy R's link for this stamp set, which is how I bought it, and it was no longer available. So I don't know what that's about, but yeah, I don't know how to find this anymore. After I was done with that, I ended up tucking my duplicate Santa on the back of my little panel and adhering down Oogie Boogie and a little pumpkin down to this little panel. I adhere all of this down to some Neenah Solar white cardstock, and I made bases out of that, and then I just kind of start going ahead and decorating the interiors of these cards. So for the interior of this card, I did want to completely have all of the characters involved with it, even if you didn't see them at first. So I'm just going to adhere Sally, Jack, and Zero onto the inside of this card, because even though this is an Oogie Boogie card, I felt like the other characters should totally be involved, as they did foil his plans more than once. So yeah, for the inside of this one, I ended up going with the sentiment, hope your holidays are a scream, and I thought that was really fitting. After I was done with that, I just go in with some glossy accents to kind of just highlight Oogie Boogie and Santa. And you guessed it, because the little gloves on Santa were done with some Tombow brush pens. They did turn a little bit of a purpley hue, but it's totally fine. I'm just going to pretend like the Santa was totally inspired by Halloween Town and just kind of took on some, you know, purple gloves instead of his regular black gloves. So here I am revisiting the first card. I decide to adhere Oogie Boogie down into the card, as well as putting that colored pumpkin in the place of one of the already stamped down pumpkins. And there you have it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys next time.